When I first started doing magic, I was doing a trick for 10 people, 7 people, 8 people, 9 people at a time. I realized that if I was to make videos, I can now reach thousands of people.
How do you feel the current UK sort of government, is supporting entrepreneurs in the UK?
I think it's quite poor. I don't think they're doing anything to support them. I think they really are trying to make it harder for them.
Today's guest is someone who has mastered one of the most valuable assets in the world, attention. Arshdeep Soni is a magician of the magic circle, a creator with millions of followers, and someone who has generated billions of views across his content. He performs for global brands, private clients, and high net worth audiences. But what he's really built isn't just a following, it's a business, because behind the magic is something far more valuable, an understanding of how people think, how attention works, and how perception drives behavior. And in today's world, that is where the real leverage sits. This isn't just a conversation about magic. This is about attention, influence, and how that translates into real commercial value, and ultimately how that value gets structured as things scale. This is about what really sits behind success in the modern attention economy. Arsh, great to have you on. For anyone who doesn't know, you've built a global audience, performed for brands and private clients, and you've also got a background in computer science.
Correct.
So you've got this really interesting mix of creativity, psychology, and systems thinking. And what you've built isn't just commercial, it isn't just content, it's an actual business model. So let's start at the beginning. How did you actually get into magic?
Oh, this is an interesting one. It's not, I would say, a crazy story, but I'd say I had a friend who showed me a trick, and I had one of those delayed reactions where it hit me later that, oh, this is what actually happened. This was the kicker. And when that happened, I was like, that was so cool that I realized I don't actually know any party tricks.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let me go home. Let me pick up a pack of cards. So I did that. I went, to school the next day. When I got back home, went to Poundland, picked up my first deck of cards, went on YouTube, learned something, just learned a trick, practiced it for a day. Then I thought, let me go to school the next day and try it on my friends. I did one trick, just one trick. And the reactions I got blown me away. Not just my friends, but blown me away. And I was like, oh, this is quite fun. And I like the energy that I'm getting back from it. I did it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And after that, I realized, the best tricks aren't on YouTube. They're hidden in books, hidden in other places. And I started understanding that. And from there on, just started creating better tricks, better things that I can do anytime, anywhere. And that's kind of how the love for magic started. Yeah, and after that, I just started making videos, and it was just nonstop after that.
Okay, brilliant. And so when did it go from an actual interest and a hobby into something more commercial for you?
Yeah. So when I first started doing magic, so during that school era, I was doing a trick for 10 people, 7 people, 8 people, 9 people at a time. I realized that if I was to make videos, I can now reach thousands of people for that same trick, if not millions of people. It really depends on that kind of trick and what kind of audience you can build out of it. So that got stuck in my head that, I could be, doing one trick, but I could have thousands of people seeing it. And then that's when I started pushing a lot more. And then I realized the more people that see my videos, the more people that see me, eventually something will come out of that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying brand deals and these things come instantaneously.
Yes.
It takes some time. But the more you get seen, the more opportunities there are. You miss 100% of a choice you don't take. So you keep firing away, keep making videos, you're going to be bound to be seen by someone. And that's kind of how it started. Because the first commercial brand deal that I did, commercial at a big scale, was for TikTok. And that's me posting videos on TikTok. So that was like a full circle moment as well.
Yeah, unbelievable. And your videos are absolutely incredible for anyone who doesn't see them.
I appreciate that.
So when did you start thinking like a business owner, or that this is your business as a mainstream?
Yeah, when I realized that, as much as I want to make the videos, I need systems in place to be able to capitalize on them as well. Every platform has their own way of monetizing.
Yeah.
Each platform, caters for something slightly different. So you have to have, a distinct video or distinctly edited per platform as well. And then that's where I realized in order for me to really push this, I have to have systems in place. I have to have, certain strategies in place to allow me to not just cater for one platform, but all of them. So now when I create videos, when I create content, I create once, but with the mindset that I can apply the same video to all platforms by doing a slightly distinct edit per piece of content.
Yes.
So when I realized that and I realized what works, then I was able to capitalize a lot more.
Absolutely. Some great tips and insight into how the social media platforms are organizing themselves. And this is obviously a huge part of your business.
Correct.
Obviously, the social media platform, you're a huge influencer in that regards. How do you keep on top of the algorithms? Because it's what a lot of people struggle with, don't they? In terms of, TikTok could be moving this way and analyzing the views. Do you have someone working with you, or are you analyzing that data yourself?
A bit of both. So we do in-house analysis, but at the same time, I have a lot of friends in the industry as well that I can speak to, people at TikTok as well. A little bit less so now because a lot of things are changing. But when it comes back to the algorithm question, these are things that are uncontrollable. You don't have control of these things. You're always at the mercy of these platforms. That's the downside of this. So the way I look at it is, it's all about creating content that fits in with the trends at that time, whether it's the right kind of music that's, working, because these things help, whether it's the right kind of actual video trends. If you can take a comedy trend, but apply it to what I do. So magic, but apply both magic and comedy both together in that specific niche. These are the things that I'd look at to try to, escape the algorithm issues. Now, having said that, I'm actually facing similar issues with TikTok right now because they're changing too much. They keep changing things. So it's always a fighting battle, I think. You just have to keep kind of pushing and keep creating content to try to get out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a massive part of what you do is capturing people's attention.
Correct.
How important is that first few seconds of your content in terms of capturing attention?
Yeah, extremely. Not just for the person watching, but also for algorithm. Because if for the first few seconds, your video is not captivating enough, the algorithm won't want to push you. And it does that with data analysis. So, the more people that see your videos in the first 1 hour of you posting will really affect how many more people will see that video.
Yeah.
So if you can capture someone in the first 3 seconds, maybe even the first 5 seconds, that's where you start to realize this is where that strategy comes in to be able to acquire those customers, those people, and basically acquire their attention.
Yeah.
And, people, what we found is they have the memory of a goldfish, for the first 3 seconds, they can't remember what they watched in the previous video. So our job as a content creator is to be scroll stoppers.
Yes.
And that's what the first 3 seconds does.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed. I know I can't ever compare myself to you in terms of the following.
Yeah.
But, I know when some of my videos have gone viral, million views plus, it's all about HMRC have just done this.
Exactly.
HMRC have just done that. So whereas, I don't particularly like scaremongering, but that immediate news, that breaking news or something that HMRC have done is where my videos tend to go viral over and above if I'm trying to help someone or just give them some strategy. So it's interesting. And I guess in terms of viral, of course, everyone wants their videos to go viral. But what would you say, makes a video go viral? Or what can someone put into their video to give them the best chance of something going viral?
Yeah, I think it's long-term storytelling. It's being able to go from the first second and almost immediately understand from that first second what's going to happen on second 15.
Yeah.
You're staying to watch. So it's about having a very high watch time, and you do that by keeping the audience engaged. The first 3 seconds are very important. You got to make sure that they're hooked, but not just hooked. How do you keep their attention? So these terms are what these platforms use to understand whether or not your post is considered viral or not.
Yeah. And would you say there's an element of luck to it as well?
I think the harder you work, the luckier you get, right?
Yeah.
So the more good content you push out, the more content you push out that your audience can relate to, that tells a story from start to finish with no dead time. I think that's what makes or breaks it.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say most content creators get wrong when they're trying to push a video or to make their video viral?
I think overcomplicating it sometimes. In the initial stages when you're not sure about your niche, I think just post. I feel like it was less complicated for me in the beginning to just create videos and post, because I was less focused on the numbers and less focused on X, Y, and Z. Whereas now there's so many metrics to focus on. There's so many platforms to focus on. You know, you want your videos to be seen because you get greedy. You know, you've had that level of reach, so you want that again.
Yeah.
Early on, it's not the same. So I feel like early on when you're starting new, just go for it. You know, don't doubt yourself, just post.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's that constant over engineering or trying to do more. Or if you're struggling to think of content,
yes,
and then you try and push it, and then it's not going to come across right. So it has to be, you know, natural. You have to go with your instincts, and that's usually I find what works best.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So magic is about influence, which is great, because we can bring that back into business as well. What does magic teach us about decision making?
I think sometimes you just have to live in the moment. You know, it's one of those things where if it sounds right, if it feels right, you kind of you go for it. And I feel like that's what magic sometimes is. You know, it makes you step away from your problems, your current situations, because you get a chance to focus on something else. And I think that's the same thing that applies here. You kind of have to live in the moment and just see where things take you.
Yeah, absolutely. And how easy do you find it to influence people's perception?
I think over time I've gotten better at it, but the psychology behind magic is quite crazy. There's a lot you can do. You know, there are magicians like Darren Brown who specialize in this. Yeah. So they can change perception, they can change reality, in that your reality of perception in that same way influence you quite easily. Not something I niche in, but elements of, I would say I can.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of your development as a magician, how are you constantly developing your skill set?
Yeah.
Are you reading books? Are you learning from other magicians?
Yeah.
What's your techniques to continually be developing?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started, I would say in about 2011, there wasn't much of this. It was more so YouTube, books, whatever I could find. And I think over time, I started building a much bigger friend circle within the magic world. I'm also now part of the magic circle. I have been since about 2015.
Yes.
Which gives me access to, you know, places like the Magic Castle in America. This is all knowledge that you can gain from talking to people. And I think that's the best way. I look at a lot of videos. I keep watching videos online. I take inspiration. I try to up my skill set that way as well. Magic isn't just about, you know, playing with some cards and that's about it. It's about, you know, psychology. It's about being able to present, perform. You know, it's about being an overall entertainer rather than just doing a couple tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for people who are starting out in magic, who may just see that, what advice would you give them in terms of what actually goes behind putting together an actual career from magic?
Yeah, I think what people don't tend to realize is there's so much effort that goes in behind creating a video. It's storyboarding. It's canceling that storyboarding, going again and rewriting something. It's practicing the tricks. It's the editing. It's the filming. It's the audio. It's the video. It's the color grading. It's making it look right. It's the annotations on screen. There's psychology behind every single video I create with intent. And for some people, they just think, oh, you're just holding a phone, filming, and that's it. No, there's so much that goes into it, so much pre-planning that goes into it to make a video intentionally viral.
Yeah. And when did you go from filming, I guess, by yourself to investing in a team? And what does your team look like today?
Yeah, so I would say that team has always been up and down a little bit. Early on, I was filming with my friends, and that same friend circle has existed, so I leverage off of the same people. Yeah. But what I tend to find within the team is you need the people that can think along the same lines as you. You know, whether those are creators, whether those are editors, whether those are storytellers, and that's kind of my friend circle right now, and exactly what I keep, because that helps me level up. Because as I see them leveling up with their careers, challenges me to do better as well. So I keep that sort of friend structure and friend circle around me as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you have that. Now, from a business perspective, and for those who don't know what sort of content can bring from a business perspective, how do you turn your content into income streams?
For sure. So first and foremost is brand deals. So like I said, the more you get seen, more brands approach you. I have my own social first agency as well, which means when we do have brand deals come in, I can bring in my friend circle, bring in the people that I've been able to build a relationship with over the last 10 years, and offer these opportunities to them as well. So that also brings income back to us for giving the same opportunity that I received back to the other people that would not have had the same opportunity.
Yeah.
Alongside that, it's about posting on the platforms that actually help make money. So now I think every platform in some way or form can help you monetize, whether that's, X through its creator rewards program, TikTok through its creator fund, Facebook has its own monetization platform, Instagram, not so much. It exists in the US. So I primarily use Instagram for just kind of pushing my content out there. And then even things like Snapchat, which we kind of are partnered with as well to make money on that platform and to monetize.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess a lot of people don't know Snapchat as a media outreach to a lot of people, So how's that working in terms of you give an update on how people could use Snapchat potentially for business?
Yeah, so Snapchat's an interesting one because it doesn't apply to everybody. For someone to make money on Snapchat, you either have to be a verified creator or a verified business. And that means you have a gold star next to your name. And once you have that, you can get onboarded, which is an invite-only program to their monetization system. And then that allows you to earn from spotlights, which is what they call, which is like Instagram's versions of Reels, and then stories. So when you post a story on Snapchat, you can earn from that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Some good advice there for those wanting to expand. And you mentioned numerous revenue streams. Brand deals, performances, direct from the platforms.
Yeah.
Which of those is performing the greatest for you at this moment in time?
It's a combination of brand deals and platform monetization. Because the way I look at it is, every piece of content you make, you want to be able to earn from it. And the best way to do that is to create the kind of content that the platform would reward you for. And on top of that, if that same video can land you a brand deal, it's a bonus.
And what would you say what separates creators who just sort of post to those who actually make money?
Consistency in posting and creating and constantly trying new things. I think, those who just passively create videos, they do it for their own entertainment. But actual content creators do it for other people's entertainment.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Running a firm shouldn't feel like you're chasing after it, but clients' receipts soon pile up. Their invoices get lost. Your inbox never stops. Meet Dex, the all-in-one bookkeeping automation platform that helps you make sense of the financial data so you can react in real time. This one is from our sponsors, Dex, the all-in-one bookkeeping automation platform that helps you make sense of financial data in real time. As your business has grown, we spoke about multiple income streams, brand deals, etc. How important has it been to have a proper financial system in place?
It's very important. Without the right systems, you don't know where your money's going. You don't know how you save for your tax. You don't know what you can and can't spend. And I think if you don't have that ideology, then it's not really a business. Then you're not really running it as a business.
Yeah.
So very, very important for us to have that system in place. People that we can speak to, the right accountants, tax advisors, and the right automation tools to really help us scale faster and build bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And could you give a tip or a system that you particularly use yourself?
So, for example, we use tons of different online platforms to essentially help us post and manage our videos and everything accordingly. So a few would be like, I'm not sure if you heard of like Later, that helps us with our like videos, helps us track all of our analytics. And that's for us, that's the main platform, one of the main platforms that we'd use to be able to analyze all of our content, schedule patterns, not just for one platform, but for every platform. And I think without those right systems in place, you almost forget that, you should be posting in 10 different places in one go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Okay, so we're coming on to talk about some tax and structuring. When did you first seriously start looking at your structures, I guess, from a tax or financial efficiency perspective?
I think as soon as I started working more consistently with brands, and I'm seeing that money roll in, and I'm like, okay, now I have to focus on not just the business, but the admin side of things. Being able to put tax aside, being able to know how much I can and cannot spend, how I can use the money personally, whether I have to pay myself, things like this. And I think as I started seeing the opportunities come in, the money started landing in the account. That's kind of when these decisions had to come in, and I had to speak to the right people.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. And I guess how long after you set up the business did that vision in your mind take place?
It was always a vision to set up a company, to set up a side business, so I don't have to work, so I don't have to do a typical 9 to 5. Which is funny I say that, because since I've started, I've done both hand in hand. And that's just because of the pressure. I like that pressure. I like being able to do multiple things at once. But the goal was always to do that. So I would say within the first few months of me landing my first kind of long-term brand deal, long-term sponsorship, and taking it from there.
Yeah. And when it comes to tax, what is the tax that most concerns you or bothers you? Is it that you're looking at your personal income tax? Is it the business tax side of things? Which is the one that always, grates on you a bit and you want to do some more planning around?
I think it's always moving that business money to your personal, right? I think that's what most people will probably say as well, because people don't realize that business and personal are two different things.
Yes.
And I think people are under that misconception a lot. So they try and spend their money under their business thinking it's theirs, but it's not. And I think that's the trap people fall into.
Yeah, absolutely. And generally, are you looking to grow your, I guess, corporation, set up multiple entities? You mentioned you've got an agency now. Correct. As well. What does your sort of growth trajectory look like from a business or structuring perspective?
Yeah, I think it's about building the media empire even bigger than it is now. Leveraging things like the agency that I mentioned, that all lives under one company because it's the same. It leverages off of my network. So it doesn't make sense to kind of separate that just yet.
Yeah.
And then I think heavy investments in things outside of my media empire. So, whether that's property, whether that's assets, other assets, anything that can help. We have a saying use your money to make money. Yeah. So anything that we can leverage to do that is where that would come in, being able to build that side of the corporation. Yeah.
And you've done some work internationally as well. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts about expanding globally?
For sure. I think we've done a lot of work with a lot of my work does come from US, China, Asia, that sort of thing. We work with a lot of brands out there. And I think, expanding more in those regions, but also maybe even pushing this business a bit more to America, because I feel like that is the land of opportunity. You hear that a lot. But also being there, I think would open up a lot of doors. And I've seen my friends do that, and they've elevated quite a lot because of that as well.
And as an entrepreneur, highly successful, influencer, magician yourself, how do you feel the current UK sort of government, is supporting entrepreneurs in the UK?
I think it's quite poor. I don't think they're doing anything to support them. I think they really are trying to make it harder for them. And I've heard that and I've seen that from across, all the people that I speak to, and also a lot of my friend circle who are now shifting to places like Dubai because of, their better tax system, not being able to have the same level of hindrance on your tax there than it is here. You keep more of your money there than you do here. And that's a thought that's come across a lot in my mind as well. And it's about finding the right thing that works for me versus someone else. But no, I don't think the UK is doing enough to help. I think it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, because I've advised and worked with quite a lot of content creators, and because of their careers, they're able to move around different countries, and a lot of them have taken the decision to not be UK resident from a tax perspective. Has that ever crossed your mind because of the UK tax system being so strenuous as what it is today?
Yeah, and I think it's complicated for me because I own my own house, my family. So me not being a tax resident can be a bit of a complicated one. So I think, it's come across in my mind a few times. Whether or not it makes sense to be figured out.
And then I guess on the smaller side, when content creators do start earning from the likes of TikTok, etc. Sometimes what happens is that they may not realize they have to declare that income or pay tax on it, albeit it's in their own name and they're getting taxed quite heavily. I guess have you seen that through your travels and working with smaller content creators, not understanding the tax system?
Exactly. It's not as simple as it looks. People think it is, but I've come across that a lot where people are just taking money personally. They're not declaring the tax the same way. And it can get quite messy quite quickly. And I've been there, I've seen it. Even in the beginning when I was starting out, I wouldn't say made the same mistake. I had the right people around me, so I was able to kind of capture that early on.
Yeah.
But whatever I did make personally, I did transfer to the business to kind of make it make sense, and we were able to get around that quite easily. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of small creators just do it, or just do it because they think it's working. And I feel like that's what separates passive creators from an actual content creation business.
Yeah. And HMRC now have various tools in place where they can track who's earning what from the actual platforms themselves through a data transfer between HMRC and the platforms themselves. So we'll be seeing a lot more prompts and disclosures from HMRC into this sector, which has been quite heavily publicized. So hopefully, if there are content creators who are watching, that they can bring their sort of tax affairs up to date. And now it's time for Tax Tip of the Week. A lot of people focus on how much they're earning, but not how that income is structured. And as your income grows, particularly when you have multiple streams, as we've spoken about, whether that's brand deals or income from the social media, structure becomes critical. And as a general rule of thumb, once you're moving into the higher tax rate, which is around £50,000 plus, is something you should really start thinking about. And once you're consistently earning £80,000, a limited company often starts to make more sense, especially if you don't need to draw all of that income out personally. Because within a limited company structure, you have control over when you extract the income, the ability to manage tax timing, and an overall lower tax efficient exposure. And in terms of tax, obviously, the final question on tax, it'd be wrong of me now that we've got, the tax magician and the actual magician together. If I gave you someone's tax computation that had a large tax bill, would you be able to magic it down to zero?
I could make it disappear and then reappear somewhere else.
There we go. So this is a new service that we're going to be offering to clients.
Bespoke service.
Very premium service. So if anyone interested, please get in touch. Do you have a particular story of where you produced one of your favorite magic tricks, be it for a celebrity or someone of influence that you'd like to share to the audience?
I would say mostly storytelling through videos. I would say that I think that's the best thing that I've been able to do, and be able to reach hundreds of millions of people. And I think for me, that's what I love doing. And I think that's the story that I like to tell, that when you create the right kind of content, you can reach not just 1 million people, but 100 million people. And I've done that about, I want to say 3, 4, 5 times. And it's about using the opportunity at hand to create something magical. So there was a moment where, like I mentioned earlier, I was filming with a lot of my friends. And I had an idea in my mind, like, oh, what if I could take a MacBook, someone sitting on a table with a MacBook, and the Apple logo, I could just magically make it disappear and turn into an apple in real time, which is exactly what I did. So I didn't explain the vision to anyone. I just said, guys, sit here. I want to try something. We created this most magical piece of content in about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And that ended up doing close to 1 billion views across all my platforms. Just on YouTube alone, it's done 500 million views. And that's a simple idea that came out the fact that I was in the environment where I wanted to film, where ideas were flowing, and I just took that opportunity and just kind of did the first thing that came to mind, and it worked. So I think my storytelling is all within the videos.
That sounds amazing. And in terms of you've probably been inundated with people contacting you throughout the years. Now, aside from me, who's the most interesting person that's reached out to you on any of your platforms?
Oh, that's a tricky one, because I think I speak to a lot of interesting people overall, but not just on, I think not just on social media, just leveraging social media. I wouldn't say a direct person, I'd say. I think every person I meet has been quite interesting and been able to add value to me in some way, and I can add value back.
And on some of the other guests that we've had, we've spoken about actually dealing with high net worth clients. Obviously, it's something that what we do as advisors. Can you give some tips in terms of that relationship with dealing with, let's say, a high net worth client or a celebrity?
Yeah.
What tips would you give to someone who has to deal with that type of person?
I think it's always being able to show your value, being able to show that you can add value, you're not just wasting their time. And I feel like that happens a lot in the industry. People want help with everything, which is normal. But if you can't come across in a way where you can actually add value to people, your clear communication, I feel like that's when things don't tend to go as well. So just being able to add value in the right way. And I think that gets appreciated quite well, especially by these people that have built such big things for them to be such high net worth.
And before we come on to sort of the conclusion and the rapid fire round, it'd be wrong of me to ask if you haven't bought a little trick or something you can share share with the audience.
Let's do this. Just imagine in your mind, and you can actually use your hands and actually do this in real time. Imagine you have a pack of cards in your hand. So just follow along with me.
Yeah.
Right? Deck of cards, you can see it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can just visualize that you have a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Pick it up with the other hand. Okay. Open the box. Pull out the cards. And just look at them. So now you're looking at all the faces of every single card.
Yeah.
Right. Just going through the cards. You're going through each single one. And one card stands out to you and you stop.
Yeah.
Right. You take that card. You push it up. And you can see it.
Yeah.
Right. You take all the other cards. Hold it in your hand. Now you can see this card that you're holding. Right.
Yeah.
You can visualize it. You can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the first time, what card is that?
Two of spades.
Two of spades. And you're happy with that card? You don't want to change it?
I'm happy.
Yeah.
With it, yeah.
So now you're going to take that card, you're going to flip it over.
Yeah.
So that's upside down.
Yeah.
And you're going to put that back in the pack.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you're going to pick up the box.
Yeah.
Pick up the cards, put the cards back in the box. So now you have one card upside down in an entire pack.
Okay.
And you said the two of spades.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're going to do with that pack of cards, you're going to take it and you're just going to throw it towards me. Right there. That's your imaginary deck of cards.
Okay.
And you said the two of spades.
Yeah.
So what I've done is before we started, I took one card upside down exactly to match what your memory was. And if I go through, you said the two of spades.
Yes.
If I go through the cards one by one, you'll see there's actually one card right here, upside down in all the rest. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put these on top and I'll let you can reach over, lift that over.
Wow.
That is your two of spades.
Two of spades.
So that is the art of influence in a different way.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. There we go. Magic Tax Live. There we go. Thank you. Able to influence me. So that's brilliant. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Right. We're going to just come on to the rapid fire round. So
Sure.
just sort of six little questions. Just try and keep them brief as possible. Some of this we may have covered already. Attention or money, which matters more?
Attention.
Biggest commercial mistake creators make?
Not treating it like a business.
Reality or perception, which wins?
Perception.
One business lesson from magic.
Attention is the biggest currency. So leverage that.
And what is the best platform for views currently?
For views, TikTok.
And monetization?
YouTube or Facebook.
Arsh, really appreciate you coming on today. What you've built goes far beyond magic. It's about attention, influence, and turning that into a scalable business. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone building something serious. A final thank you to our sponsors, Dex, helping businesses stay organized and in control in real time. Subscribe and follow. And remember, when you think tax, think Mitch the Taxman.